my book. We had the economic conference in July 1991. It was actually planned to be held in Sahel, but because we took control of Asmara, it was done in Asmara, etc. Immediately after that, I was appointed as president of the university. And the government's idea, through the direction of the president, was that we should prepare for 1 year, maybe open it another the next year. What I did was, I did some, what can I say, initial assessment. What was there, what was in Agarfa, how much I can bring about from my contacts, etc., etc. And I was assigned there in July. I went back to bring my wife and my son, he was a few months old, in Sahel. In fact, we went together with Haile, and we came back together. Immediately, I was assigned. Within a month, I made an assessment that we can start the university. We had the critical mass to start the university. And then we can build as we go on. We don't have to wait another year. And what did I have as an intake? Those who were there were removed to Agarfa, they would come. And Haile was our miscellaneous then because they were not a state, we did not have an ambassador. And I went to Addis Ababa, asked Haile through him, because we had good relations with at all levels with the TPLF and the government there. I was able to bring about not only the students and staff, but also the equipment that was removed from Asmara to Agarfa in, I think it's in Asala or in Zimbabwe or Abusi, somewhere in Southeast Asia. And then we started with what we have, but I started with a rapid recruitment drive. In short, I brought every Eritrean who was associated, who was working in Ethiopian universities. And I had permission of the president of the Ethiopian universities, because at the time we were having these twinning arrangements. We're going to have exchange scholarships, Ethiopian studying in Asmara, etc. But first we have to rebuild it. So amicably, we were able to bring all Eritrean professors, associate professors, whatever, from Addis Ababa, from Addis. And then in fact, I had this vision of recruiting Ethiopian Sudanese, because culturally they were very akin to us, and they could feel very comfortable. For me, I feel perfectly at home in Khartoum. I speak Arabic. The most Sudanese think I'm Sudanese anyway. I feel perfectly at home in Addis Ababa, personally, because I speak Arabic. I mean, Amharic, etc., etc. So I thought that because we would not have sufficient number of Eritreans to really run the university with its name, I was prepared to recruit non-Eritreans from the region who have cultural affinity with us and therefore would be comfortable living in Eritrea. I also went on a recruiting drive of retired professors whom I provided only housing and they were working for free, etc. In a nutshell, I was able to bring about 115 professors within 1 year. Professors, associate professors, either with terminal degrees, PhD, or intermediate degree masters. Okay. And then, within the year of being appointed in August 1992, I was able to organize an international symposium to revitalize the University of Asmara. I invited not only Eritrean professionals in the US, in Europe, but professionals who were non-Eritrean, who were friends of the Eritrean liberation movement during the war, but professors like that, etc. We don't know them. In a nutshell, the international symposium reorganized or recommended the reorganization of the University of Asmara into different colleges, faculties, etc. Revised the syllabus and proposed the modernization of its assets. Assets, the library, laboratories, etc. You all know what assets in university needs to have. Okay. So we started with this. And then I set up a special committee a select committee headed by a professor whom I brought from the UK, Professor Cassette, something, I don't remember the name now, etc., and several professors, senior professors, to assess the credentials of the faculty. And the idea was, I also started training arrangements with European and American universities, which will allow us to send junior professors, junior faculty, to earn their terminal degree, and then as replacement, this university will send the University of Asmara professors, pending the return of the junior professors who will be going for their PhDs, etc. So we were in the process of revitalizing the university. My vision was, yes, our best asset is our people, but we need to train to equip them, etc. And I had this vision of transforming the University of Asmara into a center of higher learning and development-oriented research, and I established immediately a research center near the post office, etc. So I restructured it, essentially. During this time, I had a problem with the government, and of course, I am in the EPLF, Central Committee member, a member of the party which led the EPLF. We had an organization within our organization. You can find that in my book. I'm very frank because I want us to learn as a people. If we don't learn our history, we can never be able to own our present and build our future. That's why I do nothing except that which affects the security of Eritrea as a state, the national security of Eritrea as a state, and the safety of my former comrades in arms who are still in the government, with the government, but who share my perspective. But they're in no position to be like me. I live in a relatively free society. I'm free. Okay. So with these two red lines I never cross in any section of my book. The rest, okay, right? So I ran into a problem. The first problem was the university should be under the Ministry of Education. I said no. The university should be an autonomous institution. Not because I am there, and Barafi was my friend, my former comrade in arms, was the Minister of Education. I told Isaias at the time, look, it's not because of me or Barafi. No. It's not that I don't want to be under Barafi. No. But the university as an institution should be an institution of higher learning, development-oriented research. I drafted a charter. I have it reviewed by many professionals, including Eritrean professionals in the diaspora. After I was satisfied, I put many of their comments on board, etc. I finalized it. I gave it to the president. I asked him, okay, please. He was not a president at the time. He was the Secretary General of the Provisional Government of Eritrea. Okay. But we had a provisional National Assembly of which I was a member. I asked him to have it ratified in the National Assembly. He never did. By the way, the main provisions of the charter was it puts the president, the chancellor of the university, highest official, of course, the president of the university will be under him, fine. And then it will have an independent legal personality, it will have academic freedom, it will have all the ingredients that make a university a university. That was the vision, fine. But there was insistence that the university be put under the Ministry of Education. I said no. As long as I am there, no. And for me, no is a no. I either resign or I have my way. So, one. Another thing, people in the security apparatus wanted to recruit, to have their people inside, to recruit from the students, to spy on other students. I said no. This is an academic institution. Students and faculty here must enjoy full academic freedom. They cannot be bothered for what they do inside the university. Outside the university, it's not under my control. You can do whatever you want. But on campus, I would allow no activity. In other words, I was trying to prevent the politicization of the university. A third one was what Gabriel mentioned. They wanted to organize the university students as a branch of the National Association of Students in Youth, etc. I said no. I mean, these are hired. I mean, if they want on their favorite good, it's up to them. But you cannot oblige them to be members. So these were the issues I was dealing with. But I could not talk of these issues to anybody, including my most trusted colleagues in the university, because these were internal matters of the EPLF. It was not an Eritrean government, it was a provisional government under the EPLF. And being a member of the Central Committee of the EPLF, and a member of the National Assembly of the EPLF, of course, I have to do my arguments inside, outside. I defend a common position. We had during the war what we call democratic centralism. Whether you agree or disagree, if you don't prevail, if your views don't prevail, you are obliged to follow what the majority or your supervisor, your superior says. So under this, so these were the issues. Now the issue of the expulsion of the faculty. I was fired from the university during the celebration of the outcome of the referendum. I remember the date, the wee hours of the 28th of April 1993. We were all celebrating at Andebrhan hotel. It was 3, 4 o'clock. We had an argument. I think Sas was here, I was here, Nazmi was here. I can remember in my mindset. Solomon was here, Sheribo. We're all together. We're celebrating, and we got into an argument. And of course, I was fired. I wouldn't go into details. I have some details in my book. The expulsion took place about, I don't know, 6 months after I was fired from the university. And it was a political decision. For those who don't know, it was a political decision. The political decision was all ex-members of ISAPA, the Ethiopian Workers' Party, should be expelled. Period. Even people I brought from Addis Ababa were expelled. People with PhDs, not just people who did not have PhDs. Okay. So it was a political decision with which I had nothing to do. Okay? And in fact, somebody recently pointed out to me something that now Dr. Mohammed Khair, whom I recruited, he was of course Dean of
Dean of Agriculture.
Agriculture, and I made him the dean because I recruited him. He was a former member of the ALF, etc. I was actually to broaden the base of the university, to secularize the university, and to give it not only a national form, but also a national content, but in its universality as a university. But because of the disagreements I talked about, and they cropped up when we were drinking, I was fired. And the next letter, the next morning, I got a letter in my office saying that I am no longer. Fine. This is the story. But some story, somebody says something. The problem with our Eritreans is that we don't do our due diligence. We do not try to verify the stories that we hear. I think it's good to say, where do you get these facts? What's your proof? What is the evidence? I think this would help us make a better base for understanding. Otherwise, for the record, I had nothing to do with the expulsion of the university. Whoever was expelled from the university, my understanding from those who made the decision was that this was a political decision to expel all ex-members of the ISAPA, Ethiopian Workers' Party. I think that's the end of the story. Second, when you're an ambassador, you have an existential dilemma. As long as you're an ambassador under the Vienna Convention, you're obliged, you represent the state. You're not yourself. You are a representative of the state. What happens when your ambassadorial duties clash with your personal values? You either continue to obey orders or you resign. This is a general principle. But in the specific case that you said, I never maligned the G15. And for the record, I agreed with them. I was constantly in touch with them. I speak of that. I disagreed with their method. I said, quite frankly, this is going to get you nowhere. You cannot dialogue. You know better. Because these were Isaiah's right-hand men. I know. I lived with them for many years. They were my friends, my closest friends, my closest comrades in arms. We had disagreements. We had discussions. For your information, as commissioner, I was commissioner, and mostly in the temporary security zone because I had to supervise what was going on. We had security issues, political issues, humanitarian issues. So I was mostly either on the Bure or on the western sector, etc. But whenever I was in Asmara, I was discussing with these people. And I was sharing my perspective. In fact, I can tell you that the majority of the Central Committee was in support of change. But people disagreed with the way that change was being advocated. Because look, what has happened to all those who try to bring about change? They have disappeared. And quite frankly, I say it, I will not say to whom yet now, as I told you, the way you're going, you will be preempted. And I say, they told me, you know, this cowardly word for word, this was the discussion. Okay? But we all know what happened. So, look, I think it's important that whenever somebody says something, we ask for proof. We ask for evidence. Otherwise, there's a proverb in Eritrea, then the story changes. Now, you know, it changes, second, third, etc. So,
Thank you so much.
No, no, hindi na discussion.